Hello, profit takers. It's Victoria here, and this is take 3 of this video. Having some audio issues, so hopefully this one is going to work out fine. There's no way for me to stop and test it because I'm just pre-recording this for you all at this point. Okay, so didn't want to give up because sometimes it's just like trading, right? You're going to come with all these challenges trying to do a whole bunch of technical analysis and stuff on your chart, and then you're still going to be wrong, right? So what we have here is the Profit Takers Alert dashboard, and it's going to help cut through all that mess and get you straight to the point. Now, today is technically Thursday. It is a new trading day, so that's why this now shows a 2 low of week instead of the 1. I wanted you guys to know that when you see the 1 low of week, or high of week, it could be a peak formation, one peak formation high or low. It could be a fresh red or green day, whichever way you want to do it, right? However you want to call it, it is the same thing. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to go through the ones that showed up that were today, the trading day of Wednesday, for the 1 high of week, low of week, so that you can see how easy it is to get into these trades and the little things you need to do to have some discretion. Now, obviously, I don't wake up for London. I would love to, but it's just so gosh darn early, guys. My trading window is New York. So the instruments that I trade are the ones that, are most likely going to play out in New York. And sometimes, like your pound Aussie, that also plays out in New York sometimes. It's just great. Even EA can do that. Some of these earlier instruments, they do play out sometimes. So we're just going to look at all the instruments that gave us the 1 low of week, low of high of week signal. And we're going to see, did they play out for me? Or did they play out for you? Maybe you're in the London Asian window and these things do that. Okay, so day 2. This video is also called day 2 because it is the day after the peak was formed. So we want to get into this looking for a typical trend trade. Now, does day 2 always offer a trend trade? No, it does not. It's not going to always be super duper perfect, but when it is, it's game on. But if day 2 does not offer you the trend trade that you're looking for, then just wait, because guess what? The next day is going to be, it should play out, right? Or look at another signal, because sometimes there's another instrument that is going to do it for you nicely. Now, what I typically like to do on day 2, I like to take my little fib tool here and measure the high and low from yesterday. And I want to go to the 50%. This is a little too low for me, right? So if that happens, what do? I just go to the low of the day. And if I'm trading Asia or London, the high of day is right here at the open, pretty much. So this is where you would then get in for this trade. If you're trading UJ, you want to get in, right? This is when you'd get in. All right, you're going to just use these areas for your targets. You can have your first target at the daily high. That's obviously where we want price to actually break through. If it breaks through nicely, obviously we want to get back in. We want to add a position. So that's what we'll do. Okay. So for me, guys, I'm asleep during all that. So I'm not going to get in on this trade that early. So if I come here and I'm like, okay, maybe I missed my opportunity. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm going to get a retracement. I don't know. But what I'm going to do here is set this thing up to see if I do. And for me in my window, this is 1600 on this MT4. That's basically telling me that's 9 o'clock. Okay, that's 9 o'clock. So that's my trading window technically. But technically, guys, I am at the charts earlier because 9 o'clock is 7 a.m. Excuse me, 8 a.m. for me. So I'm usually here anyway at 7 a.m., 8 o'clock in the morning. And today we had news at 8:30 Eastern. I was already here, waiting for my setup. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that there at 8:30 because that's quite all right, because that's when the news hit, right? Which is fair to put your start that day, that time too, because obviously the news does impact the charts and you're expect some kind of movement. Okay. So that's my entry to get back in this trade right there. Okay. Now, because I have the ADR line showing, my target is the ADR, the 2 ADR, because I'm expecting this to already have completed 1 ADR, and now we're going for the second one. Okay, so that's how we get into that trade. And this was a good trade because it happened for both sessions. All right. Now, all we had to do was wait for price. It hit the high of day. Obviously, if you were taking this reversal, you could have. Would I have taken it? I don't think so. Because you wanted to get to the low of the day, especially if you're looking for a trend trade. You wanted to get to the low, to retest the low, not necessarily get to the low of the day, sorry, because it already did, but to retest the low, and it did it nicely right at the blue tracer. Entry, guys, in like Finn, okay? Let's go to New Zealand dollar. Now, this one was a short trade, looking for a trend trade for this one too. And this one gave us a nice pattern. When you see prices doing this coiling little thing here, going to the high of day, that's all you want. Like, come on, let's do it, right? So I'm going to do mine the same thing. Go to the daily tracers. The blue, the daily high and low is also known as daily tracer. I learned that from Steve Murrow from BTMM. This whole dashboard is actually built from that trading strategy. Now, as I started learning other methods with Stacy Burke, I started to think about how I was counting the days and how I had it all wrong in the beginning, right? I wish I'd learned this sooner. And so that's why I say, you know what, no matter how you look at it, you can use this in either one of those trading strategies and have it work for you. Okay. So we are looking to go short. So if my entry was for the earlier session, then I would have most likely have tried to get in, let's see, the 50% mark for this early trade worked out beautifully. Look at that. Okay. And it's right at the retest of the open. So if I'm coming in here at my window, I'm looking at, okay, where's the retracement? How can I get back in? All right. So here's my, the low of the day. I can go right to the new high that was created. It's another opportunity there for me. Okay. If for whatever reason I'm like using this particular high with that low, it's still an opportunity. You can just kind of have there's no right or wrong way. Okay. So it's like, get me in. Okay. Get me in this market. That's what we want. So that's how I would have gotten in for my session. Let's go to another one. NZ Chef. Again, this is not one that I would normally trade, but hey, if this is your thing, if you're looking at this and excuse me, and you're like, okay, this one looks like it's moving, then okay, get in this one too. I don't know, whatever floats your boat. The opportunities are endless with the indicator. So first things first, I always just check the first one, right? Now again, let me not forget about you early birds. But you London people, you guys, I'm so jealous of y'all because not only do you have an opportunity to trade in London, you come home from work or whatever, and you can trade New York. So jealous. And you're awake the whole time. You don't have to get up early. You don't have to do none of that stuff. Anyway, so look at that, guys. Perfect entry for the early bird right there. So if you're looking to get in this trade during the New York session, then we'd want to take the low and the high and then use that. Okay. It would have put you in a little earlier than having to wait for it to cross over the blue tracer again, because since it was right there, you could have done it. Now I'm looking at M15. You could have entered at M5, whichever one, which I prefer the M5 for entry. So let's look at NZD CAD. This one was even better. So early birds, it didn't quite get to 50, but you got right here 38. That's not bad. That's a good entry. Your second, if you came, this is like your first mouse, what they call the first mouse, right? It is a little bit more of a risky trade, but because it is a day 2 trend trade, I don't think that is too risky to get in, right? I think you're fine if you were to get in there. And then if you wait for the retest, because it should always give you a retest, you can enter right back or add another position at that moment, that's the only time I would feel good about adding a position and then riding it down to the low. See, anytime the blue tracer is close to me, I want to use that as a take profit or entry. So I'm coming to my session now and I want to see, okay, do I have a retracement here? Can I get in? So I'm going to look at the low and then I'm going to bring this down to the most recent high, right? And it's going to put me in, you know, just like where that blue tracer is, just barely, okay? Which is fine. If I moved it and used that, could I have gotten in a little bit earlier? Yeah. Trying to, just a tad bit, okay? Still would have got me in, but this is a dead giveaway sign anyway for a reversal. Okay, let's look. We have GU. This one was also a trend trade. Again, we were waiting for prices to hit the high of the day so that we can get in for the short. Okay, so we can just use the low of the day here and boom, we're in. Okay. You could have, let me see if I can, I'm going to play around because, you know, it didn't even touch that area earlier on. So our only, which is fine. We don't need it to, but we do need it to cross. Look at that, guys, right at the open price. That's our entry all day long. That is your entry. First target could be at the blue tracer, and then your second target could be at one of these levels right here, this next level. Too easy. Let's look at GN. This one, we were looking for it to go long. So if you were in here early, then we're doing the same thing. We're going to measure the blue tracer and we're looking around the 50%. It didn't give us the 50%. It didn't get them all the way down there. So you would have known this pretty early in your session. It's not like it's going to take hours to figure that part out. Okay, so you got your entry right here. So it was actually a pretty decent entry for those who trade this pair. Okay. All right, so let's keep moving. GJ. Now this one usually can work out in both sessions, right? So we're gonna take the low. We're gonna do, now again, I always start off here and then I adjust, all right? And the adjustment for the early birds is pretty spot on right before the open price. Now, for those who wanna try to get into the retracement in the New York time, this retracement right here, if I would have taken this trade and got in here, I would have probably, because this is when the markets released after the news for today, right? It had a push up there and then it did the retracement, right? It's like, okay, so if I would have taken this trade and it came back down here and started just going sideways, after 2 hours, I'm calling this trade. I don't want to sit in that trade anymore. Okay, that's something that's Steve Murrow says all the time. After 2 hours, call it. Okay, now we're going to GCAB. And we are going to do the same thing, blue tracer to blue tracer, because those are previous day high and low. And we are right spot on in the money getting on this here trade. Okay, again, you can tighten this up if you want to and use the daily low and then the most recent high, because we want prices to get to the high and lock that thing in, lock it in. And it's still pretty darn close. Wouldn't you agree? Euro USD, another one we was waiting for it to get to the high of the day and lock that baby in. And it did, right? Okay, I don't know why I brought that out there. I just got excited. Here we go. All right, as we can see, it wasn't happening. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna just adjust. We're gonna adjust it. I'm not trying to be biased, guys, and only showing you guys, you know, New York. I'm showing you guys everything. If it's available, it's available. If it's not, it's not. What else are we gonna do about it, right? So this one, I am yawning, guys. What am I trying to do? Oh, okay. This one clearly, we're going to leave it like that because that was the high if you were in the early session. If you were in the earlier session, that was your high. And I'm using the blue tracer as the low. It's really tight. Look at that, 50%. Super tight. For the New Yorkers, we're going to use the low of the day and the high, which was there. All right. Or we could have used the most recent high before that one. Either one of those to kind of get you in. But guess what? It still fit right there at the blue tracer. Can't go wrong. All right. So let's move on to the next one. And we have EJ. This one I was looking at and I missed my entry. I wasn't sure if it was going to give us a huge, because I looked at this pretty early. And I was like, okay, guys, if this reverses in New York, you know, just keep your eye out. I don't know, right? But of course, the early birds got in right above, put you right in at the 50%. And for us that we're trying to perhaps get in on the retracement, I'm trying to go to this low here and then this high. Okay. So you see how that 50% line was right there? That was pretty decent. I mean, it was not an awesome trade, not like the earlier session, but you know, it was still around 40 pips. Euro Swissy. This one has been moving way better than the dollar Swissy, I have to admit. All right, so looking for this to go short. Didn't make it. So we just go to the most recent high and low. And again, if it doesn't work for your session, it just doesn't, right? You just wait. Again, this is the game of being patient. So then now if I'm coming in and I'm like, okay, there's my low and there's my high. So my entry is still putting me in around the blue tracer area, which is great. Okay. So try this again on another one. I'm just going through these pairs that show that one signal. Okay. Just keep in mind, just the one high of week. Now, like I said, it already changed to 2, but you're coming in here responding to a day 1 signal that showed on the dashboard. So day 2, we're ready to get in. Okay, this was I took this trade actually. I took this trade today, guys. As you can see here, we had to do some adjusting. I apologize for the yawning, guys, but you know, this is my 3rd go around with this video for y'all. All right. And then here we go with the 50%. It's not bad at all. Okay. Look at that. And I was in this trade, so I was very happy. All right. I am skipping one. Let me go back. There we go. This is the Swiss yen, looking for it to go long. So, okay, so obviously this is too far down. So we're just going to the low and then we're going to the blue tracer. And that would have gotten you in. I honestly didn't really need the fib for this, but I'm just bringing it out anyway. But for those of you who are trying to look to where to get back in, you just put this thing from the low of the day to the high because now we want it to retrace, create a retest, and then go long. And it did it really nice. This was actually pretty good trade. All right, now we can go to CJ. And they were all pretty much doing the same thing today, right? It's a nice gift right before the holiday. Okay. And again, with the same thing with this one, you didn't really need to go all the way down to the blue tracer. Just look at the low of the day and you want to use the blue tracer for the high, right? To get in this particular trade if you're in here early. And again, same thing, 50% line sits right at the open. And then for the retracement, we're going to the high, and it's putting us in right after the low was created, the retest. All right, so we're almost wrapping this one up. We got 2 more. Okay. Early birds. You guys could have totally just got in, right, at this retest down here. So let me do this. So when you got in, that's what you had to work with. Or you could have squeezed it in a little bit more for the low, and then it would have brought you in right there. All right. And then for us later on, I honestly would have not taken this trade because what's glaring at me is these 3 pushes. When you see these solid bars like this, it's game over. If you're not already in that trade, don't even worry about it. Because this right here is one of those parabolic setups. And once you see that, if you're not in, just go look, do what I did. I went to another one. Okay. And this one's pretty similar, guys. Look, you had these gigantic 3 pushes up here. That's it. That's game over. You don't even bother. Go to another one. But as you can see, we already saw everything that was available for you. It was just, and it only took a few moments to do that, right? So that's all it takes. Okay. That's all it takes. You've gotten in. If you're trading Asia, London, you're in. You're trading London, New York, you're in, right? It doesn't have to be the same pair every day because there's always going to be an opportunity in the market somewhere. It's just up to you to get the dashboard, install it, and just look for those setups that show the one nut. Okay, this is the most easiest trade, right? That's all you need to look for. Okay, guys, so I am going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.